Hello everyone, I welcome you all. Now till now total 6 videos. In the previous 6 videos we have covered 8 steps in view with designing PSC beam girder. Now in this part 7 video we will be moving towards step number 9. Step number 9, that is end block design. This is the problem statement. Now we will move towards next step. Before moving, just have an overlook. This total 8 steps we have covered till now in total 6 parts of videos. Step 1, design consideration. Second step, design of section and properties. Step 3, check for area provided. Step 4, eccentricity calculation. Step 5, calculation of steel, that is number of cables. Step 6, check for stresses. Step 7, check for shear, that is section uncracked and section cracked in flexure. And step 8, check for deflection. And these all 8 steps were divided in respect to parts of the video. Now we'll move towards the step number 9, that is end block design. Now this is nothing but step number 9, design of end block. Now this is our end section of the beam. Consider here, this is our beam, that is longitudinal elevation, this is the cable profile, and this is the neutral axis. Now here end block is to be provided at the end of the beam. Hence this will be the view there, that is nothing but sectional elevation at the end, where this dotted line suggests the I section, that is our beam, and a slab, that is vertical slab, will be cast at the end. Vertical slab will be cast at the end, and here you can see this is nothing but the cables that are supposed to be provided. 830 is the overall depth of our beam, 400 is the width of top flange, 350 is the width of the bottom flange. Now in this step number 9, you can see this view is nothing but it resembles a trapezoid. Hence area of trapezoid can be calculated by formula a plus b by 2 into h. Hope that you all might be knowing the trapezoidal formula, where a is nothing but 350 width of the bottom flange, plus b is nothing but 400, that is 2 parallel sides, width of the top flange, divided by 2 into h is nothing but overall depth, that is 830. Hence area of trapezoid comes to be 311,250 mm square. And CG of trapezoid can be determined by the formula a plus 2b divided by a plus b into h by 3. Now keep in mind, we are determining CG of the trapezoid from the bottom extreme fiber, that is x bar, and it will be determined as a plus 2b divided by a plus b into h by 3, where a is nothing but 350 and b is nothing but 400 mm, that is width at the top. Substituting all these values, a is 350, b is 400 divided by 350 plus 400 into h is overall depth divided by 3. Hence we get CG is equal to x bar is equal to 424.22 mm. Now what does this x bar suggest? This x bar is nothing but CG of the cable measured from bottom extreme fiber. And here at the end we are taking all the cables in from one duct itself. We are placing all the ducts in same cable. Hence CG of cable duct at end faces will be at midspan. CG of cable duct at end faces will be at midspan, that is nothing but x bar, or you can say y bar, equal to 424.22 mm from bottom. 424.22 mm from bottom. Now you are supposed to determine approximate safe bearing stress. Now approximate safe bearing stress is equal to 0.65 FCK. 0.65 into FCK is 50, 32.5 MPa. 32.5 MPa. Hence from this we can calculate area of bearing plate. Area of bearing plate. And you might be knowing stress is nothing but force per unit area. Now here we are supposed to determine this area of bearing plate, and this stress we have determined as approximate safe bearing stress as 32.5 MPa. Hence area will be P by 32.5, that is P is nothing but initial pre-stressing force 1248.71 into 10 raised to 3 Newton divided by divided by stress. We get area as 38421.84 mm square. Now assume bearing plate width is equal to 200 mm and depth of bearing plate equal to 400 mm. Assume bearing plate width as 200 mm and depth of bearing plate as 400 mm. Let us have view toward this figure. This is our end section, that is end of the beam. Top flange width 400 mm, bottom flange width 350 mm, overall depth 830 mm. This is our bearing plate area. This blue line, blue square, is nothing but bearing plate area. And we have assumed width of the bearing plate as 200 mm and depth as 400 mm. We have assumed width as 200 mm and depth as 400 mm. Hence bearing plate area, that is punching area. Hence bearing plate area, that is nothing but punching area, APUN, will be 200 into 400, that is equal to 80,000 mm square. In this way we have determined bearing plate area, that is nothing but 200 by 400 mm. Now what does this shaded part or hatch part suggest? This red part, this is nothing but bearing area. This is nothing but bearing area, and this plate area is nothing but punching area, where in this much area only punching forces will be applied, and in this hatch part bearing forces will be applied, or bearing stresses will be induced. Hence ABR, that is nothing but bearing area. Now width of the bearing area is nothing but equal to width of bottom flange, that is 350 mm. Width of bearing area is nothing but equal to width of bottom flange, that is 350 mm. Hence 350. Now we are supposed to determine depth of the bearing area, and it will be 400 plus these two offsets. This 400 depth plus these two offsets. Now we are supposed to determine these two offsets, and this offset will be calculated as offset parallel to width of beam beyond punching area. These offsets are nothing but parallel to width of the beam beyond punching area. Here you can determine beyond punching area, and this you will calculate as 350 minus 200 divided by 2, that is 75 mm. 350 divided by 350 minus 200, as we have considered 350 as width of the bearing area, and these offsets we are supposed to determine these offsets, and this offset will be determined as 350 total width minus 200 divided by 2, hence we get this offset as 75 mm. Now we are supposed to determine effective bearing depth. This is nothing but effective bearing depth. This total red part is nothing but effective bearing depth, and this total red width is nothing but effective bearing width, and this bearing depth will be 400. This depth of the punching area 400 plus 75 plus 75, that is 75 into 2, and it will be 550 mm. Hence 350 will be the width, and total bearing depth will be 550 mm. 350 into 550, and we get ABR, that is bearing area, as 192,500 mm square. Get clear that this blue part is nothing but punching area, and this entire red part is nothing but bearing area, and this offset will be calculated depending upon the width of the bearing area, where width of the bearing area is assumed as equal to width of the bottom flange, and this offset we have calculated as 350 total width minus this width 200, means we will get total offset divided by 2, that is offset on single side. In this way offset have come 75 mm. These all offsets are of 75 mm, and total effective bearing depth will be 75 plus 400 plus 75, that is 550 mm, and area of bearing will be 350 into 550, that is 192,500 mm square. In this way we have determined punching area and bearing area. Now we will be calculating FBR allowable, that is nothing but bearing stress which will be allowable into the plate, and its formula is 0.48 FCI under root ABR divided by APUN, or 0.8 FCK, whichever is lesser. We will be determining now FBR allowable, which is nothing but allowable bearing stress into the plate, and it can be calculated by formula 0.48 FCI under root ABR divided by A punching, or 0.8 FCK, whichever is lesser. And these we have taken from clause number 19.6.2.1, page number 26, IS 1343/2012. Here you can go through this IS 1343/2012, clause number 19.6.2.1, bearing stress calculation, and FBR we can calculate. FBR allowable we can calculate by the formula 0.48 FCI under root A bearing divided by A punching, or 0.8 FCK, whichever is smaller. Substitute the values in FBR allowable 0.48, FCI is nothing but 0.8 FCK, that is 50, bearing area is 192,500 divided by punching area is 80,000, or 0.8 FCK, that is 0.8 into 50 equal to 40 MPa, and this calculation comes to 29.78 MPa. Now as said here, we are supposed to use FBR allowable as lesser value, hence FBR allowable, that is bearing stress allowable into the plate, will be 29.78 MPa. 29.78 MPa. Now we will be calculating actual bearing stress into the beam. We will be calculating actual bearing stress, and you know that stress can be calculated by the formula stress is equal to force per unit area, that is force per unit area. Now we are supposed to calculate bearing stress, hence we will be considering punching area, that is bearing plate area, and force induced is 1248.71 into 10 raised to 3 Newton, and punching area is 80,000, that is nothing but 200 into 400 area of the punching plate. Hence we get this value as 15.60 Newton per mm square. This is nothing but FBR actual. Hence FBR, that is actual, is less than FBR allowable, that is 15.60 Newton per mm square is less than FBR allowable, and its value was 29.78 Newton per mm square. As actual stress, bearing stress induced in the plate is 15.60 mm, where this plate can sustain the stress up to 29.78 Newton per mm square. Hence, okay, our check for bearing stress is satisfied. Now we will be calculating the bursting force. Calculation of bursting forces. Now these bursting forces, if this is our bearing plate and this was our section, okay, for a while consider this diagram is not to scale. Bursting forces will be in vertical direction and horizontal direction. Hence in vertical direction we will be calculating the bursting forces. This is our I section at the end, this is our bearing plate. Bursting forces will be induced due to the pre-stressing force at this section, and it will be determined in vertical and horizontal direction both. Hence, firstly in vertical direction, FBST is equal to P0 0.32 minus 0.3 YPO divided by YO. This formula we have taken from IS 1343 2012, page 26, clause 19.6.2.2. Just have a look. This is IS 1343 2012, clause number 19.6.2.2, calculation of bursting tensile forces. Now this formula is on second page under this clause number 19.6.2.2, and formula here given is FBST divided by PO is equal to 0.32 minus 0.3 into YPO divided by YO. Now as we are supposed to determine this FBST, hence multiply this PO to this bracket term, where FBST is bursting tensile force, P0 is load in the tendon assessed as above, YPO is side of the loaded area, and YO is side of the end block. This is the formula, and the same formula is to be used for calculation of bursting forces in vertical direction and horizontal direction itself. Now what will be changes in the formulas during vertical and horizontal direction, we will see. Now if we are calculating bursting forces in vertical direction, then substitute P0 will be 1248.71 kilonewton, 0.32 minus 0.3 into YPO. Here YPO is nothing but depth of the bearing plate into YPO, and Y is nothing but corresponding depth of the section, that is 830 mm. And on calculation we get FBST as 219.05 kilonewton in vertical direction. We get FBST as 219.05 kilonewton in vertical direction. This is the bursting force. And during calculating vertical direction bursting force, we are supposed to consider YPO as depth of the bearing plate, and corresponding depth of the overall section will be YO. Now we will be calculating bursting forces in horizontal direction. Bursting forces in horizontal direction. By same formula from page number 26 of IS 1343, P0 into 0.32 minus 0.3 into YPO divided by YO, we will get 1248.71, 0.32 minus 0.3 into YPO. Now here we are supposed to consider, as we are calculating bursting forces in horizontal direction, hence consider width of the bearing plate, that is 200, as YPO. Here YPO will be 200 and YO will be corresponding width, that is 350, minimum of both. Minimum of top or bottom flange and minimum width is 350, hence YO will be 350. Here YPO comes 200 divided by 350, hence in horizontal direction bursting force will be 185.69 kilonewton. Now FBST will be maximum of vertical and horizontal bursting force. Hence consider max bursting force as 219.05 kilonewton, which was in vertical direction. Maximum FBST we are supposed to consider, and maximum will be both of vertical direction and horizontal direction. Now we are supposed to calculate end zone reinforcement. Calculating the end zone reinforcement, and formula for reinforcement is FBST divided by 0.87 Fy. FBST is maximum of horizontal and vertical direction bursting force, and maximum value is 219.05 into 10 raised to 3 Newton divided by 0.87, and Fy we are assuming here Fe 500 grade of steel for conventional steel, hence 500. AST is 503.56 mm square. Now assume 8 mm torque stirrup. Assume torque 8 mm steel for stirrups. Therefore, number of stirrups will be total area of steel required divided by area of single bar, that is nothing but approximately 10 stirrups. Hence total 10 stirrups will be required in the end block zone in the bearing area. We have calculated AST from FBST value. FBST is nothing but maximum of horizontal bursting force and vertical direction bursting force. And assuming 8 mm torque steel, we will be calculating number of stirrups as 503.56. This is total area of steel required divided by area of single bar. Hence in all we will be requiring total 10 stirrups. Now these 10 stirrups will be provided, hence provide these 10 stirrups in zone of 0.1D to D, in zone of 0.1D to D into end block. Hence provide this 10 stirrups in the zone of 0.1D to D into the end block. Now as per IS 1343/2012, page 27, clause number 19.6.3.3a. 19.6.3.a. Let us see what this says. This is IS 1343/2012 and clause number 19.6.3.3, that is longitudinal reinforcement. Now minimum longitudinal reinforcement that is to be provided will be 0.2% of total concrete area. Minimum longitudinal reinforcement that is to be provided will be of 0.2% of total concrete area as suggested by clause number 19.6.3.3a. Hence, longitudinal reinforcement is equal to 0.2% of concrete area, that is nothing but 0.2 divided by 100, and concrete area of our section is 214,400 mm square as determined in step number 2. Hence, longitudinal reinforcement required will be 428.8 mm square. Assume torque 8 mm of Fe 500. Therefore, number of longitudinal reinforcement required will be total area required, that is 42.8 mm square. Total area of steel required, that is 428.8 mm square. 428.8 mm square divided by area of single bar, which comes to approximately 9 bars. Hence, longitudinal reinforcement of 8 mm torque, total 9 bars are to be provided. In this way, we have completed our step number 9, that is end block design. In this way, we have completed step number 9, end block design. For any suggestions, queries, you can comment in the comment box or go through the notes. Link for the notes of Scribd is provided in the description box. Thank you very much.